स्थापितं येन तस्मै Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये आराध्यो भगवान् ब्रजेश तनयस् तद्धाम वृंदावनम् रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधो वर्गेण या कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणममलं प्रेमा पुमर्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतमिदं तत्रादरानपरः जयतां सुरतो पङ्गुर्मम मन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधाशीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थित कर्षण्वेणुष्वनिर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तु नः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we welcome you. Today is the first session of our Bhagavad-Gītā classes that we have started with the ISKCON Youth Forum under the leadership of Mini Mataji and Rishabh Dev Prabhu. This auspicious activity of discussing from the Bhagavad-Gītā has been commenced at this time of the year, especially because we are approaching the Gita Jayanti and the appearance day of the Bhagavad-Gītā, Mokshada Ekadashi, which is on December 1st. And in glory of that, we have started now, and this will continue until we can continue. This will continue every Tuesday. We will be discussing not every shloka from the Bhagavad-Gītā. We will be discussing the main 108 shlokas of the Bhagavad-Gītā. So even if we discuss one shloka per week, that'll still take 2 years. So regardless, our main goal is to somehow meditate on the teachings of Bhagavad-Gītā, apply them in our daily lives, and like that get the benefit. Yes, get the benefit from the Bhagavad-Gītā, which is actually the topmost benefit is to know from the the topmost benefit to know from the Bhagavad-Gītā is that Krishna is Parama Purushottam Bhagavan. Krishna is Bhagavan and Krishna is a person. And how to deal with that person, the process of Bhakti Yoga, different yogas, and the yoga ladder, actually, that is explained in the Bhagavad-Gītā. So the 108 shlokas which we have decided that we are going to talk about, they will basically outline the essence of this Bhagavad-Gītā. From each chapter, there are a certain number of shlokas which give the essence. So like that, in prayer, in a prayerful mood, we take shelter of the Bhagavad-Gītā, which is so wonderfully given to us by Srila Prabhupada, given with the word for word meanings, the translations, the purports, so we don't go away from the actual meaning of this Bhagavad-Gītā. That's why Srila Prabhupada named this Bhagavad-Gītā as Bhagavad-Gītā as it is. So as Krishna wants us to understand, as Krishna intended for this Bhagavad-Gītā to be understood. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad-Gītā, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. What does that mean? Only the devotees can know me. Yes, so many people have written translations on the Bhagavad-Gītā, business-minded people, politicians. But in the opinion of Krishna, which is the supreme opinion, Krishna says that Bhaktya mam abhijanati. If there's one person, if there's one class of person that can really truly understand Krishna in tattva, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Sai Guru Hoy. That person is Guru who knows Krishna in Tattva, in reality, in the absolute understanding. Only the devotees can know Krishna. Bhaktya Mam Avijanati. Acharyam Mam Vijaniyat. This is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna says that the Acharya, the pure devotee of the Lord, is actually a direct representation of the Lord. Acharya Mam Vijaniyat. Know the Acharya to be me. That Krishna very emphatically announces in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will start today by a little bit of glorification of the Bhagavad-Gītā, and then we will discuss from Bhagavad-Gītā 1.1. And the first shloka of this transcendental literature. It's a very wonderful shloka, and we will set the scene for the upcoming classes and the upcoming sessions, which will occur every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we know especially in our Sanatan Dharma, in our Vedic Sanatan Dharma, we have many Shastras, so many Shastras. We have the 4 Vedas, we have the 108 principal Upanishads. Then we also have, other Upanishads. There's 108 principal ones. And then we have the Vedanta Sutra, which is like a compilation or the essence of all of these Upanishads and the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra, also known as the Brahma Sutra. Then we have the 18 main Puranas. Then there are also Upapuranas, like the Devi Bhagavat is an Upapurana. It is not part of the 18 Puranas, it is an Upapurana, like that. There are many Puranas as such. And then we have the Itihasas. We have the Mahabharata, we have the Ramayana. They are known as Itihas, histories. Then we have the many other Samhitas written by different rishis, different saints, different Munis. We have the Garga Samhita. We have the, like recently, especially even, we have Chanakya Niti, that is also considered Shastra, written by a great sage, Chanakya. Then we have Manusmriti. Then we have Narada Pancharatra. So many scriptures have been given to us in this Sanatan Vedic Dharma. Yes, we know, many of us know of so many different types of scriptures. And this question has, I can almost guarantee, anyone who is trying to, advance in this Krishna consciousness, they will come across this question that so many Shastras, how do we know who is the Supreme Lord? So many, Shiva Puran will tell you, Shiva is the Supreme. Ganesh Puran will tell you Ganesha is supreme. Skanda Puran will tell you Skanda Shri Kartikeya is supreme. Devi Bhagavad will establish Devi Durga is supreme. Then we have the Vishnu Puran, it will establish Vishnu as the supreme. But how do we know? How do we know which Shastra? So this confusion is explained in the Padma Purana, that for different classes of people, and people coming from different backgrounds with different natures and with affected by different gradations of the material modes of nature. Some people are very sattvic, some people are very rajasic, some people are tamasic. As they have a primary guna, like not that we are always in sattva guna, but the main guna that affects us is sattva guna. Not that we are always rajasic, but one may have that the rajoguna is the main guna that one is affected by. So like that, for different personalities, different classes of men, the Shastras have been given. So if someone is more of a in a tamasic nature, then they will be attracted by certain tamasic texts and the tamasic practices, especially tantra vidya, and we can see this practice of aghori bhavas we can see. So like that, many shastras are there, and they're for many classes of men, but in the humble opinion of our great acharyas, this is actually the opinion of the acharyas itself is a fact. Yes, because Krishna himself, like we already discussed, acharya mam vijaniyat, bhaktya mam vijanati. And we all know that Vaishnavanam yatha shambho, that Bhagavan Sri Shankar, is the greatest Vaishnava. He's the greatest devotee of the Supreme Lord. He's the greatest, actually, he's the manifestation of the Supreme Lord in one sense, but he's also the greatest devotee, the greatest Vaishnava of the Supreme Lord. He is the one who instructed Devi Parvati, Shri Rama Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. That one name of Lord Ram is equal to thousands of name of Lord Vishnu. And when Parvati Devi asked Lord Shiva, who do you worship in your mind? Who do you meditate upon? Lord Shiva tells her, Uma kahun main anubhav apna, sat hari bhajan jagat sab sapna. This is written by Sri Goswami Tulsidas. भगवान शंकर क्या कहते हैं? उमा कहूं मैं अनुभव अपना, सत हरि भजन जगत सब सपना. हे Uma, हे Parvati, dear wife Parvati, I'll tell you my अनुभव. शास्त्र बहुत बात कहते हैं. Many things are there in Shastra, so many munis, so many rishis, so many perspectives, so many siddhantas. But Devi Parvati, Uma kahun main anubhav apna. This is my experience. This is the experience of Lord Shiva, who is the greatest authority. We don't need to have any question when we are getting some confirmation from Lord Shiva himself. Uma kahun main anubhav apna, sat hari bhajan jagat sab sapna. If there's one true thing in this world, it is the bhajan of Shri Hari. And that is what I'm engaged in 24/7. That is who I'm meditating on. Is Bhagavan Shri Hari, Bhagavan Shri Ram Chandra, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So there's Bhagavan Shankar when he came to fulfill his duties as to bring back this Sanatan Dharma from Buddhism. When he came and took an incarnation in this age as Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, although establishing the impersonal Siddhanta, which that is a different story we will discuss some other time. He did establish impersonalism, but that was for a specific purpose, which is outlined in Padma Puran, why he did that. Regardless, this Shripad Adi Shankaracharya, who is non-different from Lord Shiva, what does he say? He has written these texts known as Gita Mahatmya. Gita Mahatmya. And he says, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. If there is one Shastra that you want to read, if there's one Shastra that you want to consult for your queries, if there's one Shastra that has the ultimate knowledge, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. वो एक शास्त्र कौन सा है? गीतम है, ठीक है. That may be the Bhagavad-Gītā. He makes it very clear, not any Gita. Some people, I know certain sects of people in our society that talk about Bhagavad-Gītā and they say that ये कृष्ण नहीं बोल रहे हैं, कृष्ण के अंदर से कोई बोल रहा है. Like you need to, it doesn't, like it is very, it hurts that people have such an understanding. कृष्ण के अंदर से कोई बोला, गीता ज्ञान दाता. मतलब, what is this? Really, what is this understanding? But Shripad Adi Shankaracharya, who's non-different from Lord Shiva, he's making it very clear. Not just any Geetam. That Ekam Shastram you have to consider. Which is it? Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam. He's made it very clear that it is not any Krishna or is not any Shakti who is giving this Bhagavad-Gītā. It is not, although Bhagavad-Gītā स्वयं बोल रहा है कि श्री भगवान उवाच, भगवान वो स्वयं भगवान है जो ज्ञान दे रहे हैं, स्वयं भगवान कृष्ण है. But Shripad Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavan is saying what? Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam. Very clear-cut understanding. And giving the essence of this Bhagavad-Gītā in the next line of this verse, Shripad Adi Shankaracharya says, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. अगर कोई एक देव है, एक पूज्य भगवान है, परम परमेश्वर जो परमात्मा हम बोलते हैं, अगर वो कोई एक है, if there is that one personality you have to consider, you want to worship, that is who? Ekam Devo Devaki Putra Eva. That personality is Devaki Putra, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Jayati Janani Vaso, Devaki Janmavado, Yaduvar Parishad Swair. This very beautiful shloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This also says, Jayati Janani Vaso, Devaki Janmavado. उन भगवान श्री कृष्ण की जय हो. जयति जननी वासो देवकी जन्मवादो. जिन्होंने देवकी के गर्भ से जन्म लिया, उन भगवान श्री कृष्ण की जय हो. That is the opinion of Shripad Adi Shankaracharya. Of course, all the acharyas, but this, especially this Gita Mahatmya, was written by Adi Shankaracharya. He says, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, Ekam Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Karma Pekam Tasya Devasya Seva. And if one is to do any work, actually, I think there's one more line. He says, if there's one name that you want to call out, if there's one name that you want to chant, that is the name of Bhagavan Krishna. If there's one work, if there's one karma that you want to do, you want to engage in, and that is the seva of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Yeshipad Adi Shankaracharya, who is actually the leader of the impersonalists, he is stating this. He's saying, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita. Dear devotees, many shastras, many munis, many rishis, many siddhantas, but अगर कोई conclusion है, अगर कोई सिद्धांतिक रूप से कोई conclusion, कोई परामर्श है कि पूर्ण ज्ञान कहाँ प्राप्त होगा, that is Bhagavad Gita. That is Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada used to say, Bhagavad Gita is the first step, the school study. That is the Bhagavad Gita. Then you have the graduation, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then you have the PhD, which is Chaitanya Charitamrita and all the Rasa Shastras. But first and foremost is what? Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Because Bhagavad Gita makes it very clear. You are not this body. Your sufferings are of the body, not you. Very clear. Param Brahma Param Dhama Paitram Paramam Bhavan. Who is Param Bhagavan? Who is Param Brahma? Krishna. Very clear. How do you serve him? Manmana bhavavan bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mami veshyasi yuktevam. Like that, there's two verses. Manmana bhavavan bhakto. Become my devotee, serve me, offer obeisances to me. These verses will come as we go. These are from 9th chapter and 18th chapter. This verse was repeated by Bhagavan Krishna. Mere bhakta bano. Direct instruction Krishna says. Man mana bhavamad bhakto. Mad matlab mere bhakta bano. Direct instruction. How to become his devotee, Krishna will say. This, especially the chapters from chapters 7 to chapter 12. Chapter 7, chapter 12, direct instructions on how one can lead a life of bhakti. How one can be satisfied in all situations. All these, ऐसा नहीं बोलते, actually लोक में ये बहुत प्रचलित बात है कि गीता का कोई भी you open any page and you'll get the answer to your questions. That is not just a saying, that is truth, dear devotees. That is actually true. Bhagavad Gita has the answers to all your questions. All your questions. It may not be direct कि कोई पूछे कि आज मेरा अपनी पत्नी के साथ disagreement हो गया कि आज शाम को सब्जी क्या बनाए, तो अब ऐसा तो नहीं भगवान बोलेंगे direct कि this is the reason it happened. But there is the siddhanta that, okay, why are you suffering? Why are these sufferings actually coming to you? There's an answer for that. And when one truly observes everything from the viewpoint of a soul, as directed by Bhagavan Shri Krishna in this Bhagavad Gita, then you automatically get the answers to all your questions. You realize why this is happening to me. You realize why you're going through this. You get the motivation, the energy, the mercy to push through everything and gain Paramananda. The ultimate, like we've mentioned so many times, the ultimate attainment for us is Ananda, enjoyment, dear devotees. Bhakti means enjoyment, really. And Krishna is helping us through this Bhagavad Gita with his amazing, amazing, fruitful instructions. We will be able to achieve that in our lives as well. So this was a little glorification of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, whenever we give any class, whenever we talk about anything to anyone, whether it be Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, we should start with the glory. I heard that Srimad Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, of course, I wasn't fortunate enough to attend any of his live classes or see him live. He entered Krishna Leela before I became a devotee. But Gaur Govind Maharaj, I've heard from other devotees, he was such a stalwart personality in this Krishna consciousness movement. He was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, but he was an eternally liberated soul, Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, and that was accepted by everyone, not just ISKCON. It was accepted, across the page, across the Vaishnava community. It was accepted that Gaur Govind Maharaj was a Siddha. So when he used to give Srimad Bhagavatam class, his classes would go for hours and hours. First, an hour or two he would spend glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he would get into the verse. So devotees would be sitting there, when is prasadam time? Of course, we don't have that much interest in the Shastras, but this is the nature of the pure devotees, that they glorify the Shastra first so much. When we know the importance, when we know the value of what we're going to get into, we appreciate it more. Yes. When you know why you have to wake up in the morning, when that why is big for you, then you wake up in the morning for Krishna. when you know why you have to chant 16 rounds. It will please Srila Prabhupada, it will please my Guru Maharaj, it will please Mahaprabhu, it will please Krishna. When that why is big for you, then you will be able to execute it with more intensity. Tivrena bhakti yogena. We've discussed this verse before. Tivra bhakti, very intense devotional service. Like that. This is the glory of the Bhagavad-Gītā. It is the essence of all the Shastras. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. There's one Shastra that has the answers to all the questions, that has the knowledge that we need to become perfect in this life. That is the Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā, which has come from the lotus lips directly of Bhagavan. Dear devotees, we consult so many people in this world for so much advice. Why not consult the Lord himself, Sri Bhagavan? He is ready to give us, he's given this Bhagavad Gita only for that. Arjun was only a madhyama, nimitta matram bhavasabdya sachi. वो सिर्फ एक निमित्त मात्र थे अर्जुन, ये ज्ञान देने के लिए. भगवान ने हमारे लिए, सबके लिए, for each and every single soul, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has given this. It's like a love letter. It is like an invitation that you come. Know your swarupa, know your actual identity as the soul. No, don't identify yourself with the miseries. Don't identify yourself with the body. Identify yourself as the soul who is always in bliss, who is always in service of Krishna, thus always in bliss. Once you identify yourself like that, then where is the misery in this world, dear devotees? आप ये सोचिए, हम जो अभी भक्ति कर रहे हैं, all of us who are doing devotional service, हम अच्छे से भक्ति नहीं भी कर रहे. हम, our bhakti it's like an abhas. It is like just a reflection of devotional service. We are not actually doing it intensely, right? So many things Krishna says, ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate, कि जो अनन्य रूप से, अनन्य भाव से मेरी सेवा करता है, मेरा भजन करता है, योगक्षेमम महाम्यम, मैं उसकी रक्षा करता हूँ, मैं उसका, whatever he has I protect, whatever he doesn't have I give. Krishna gives all these assuring statements in the Bhagavad-Gītā. But this is for someone who is doing ananya bhajan, very strict, very nice, very haituki abhidhyata, without any external reason, without any desire, only for the pleasure of Krishna. Someone who is doing such bhajan, Krishna says these things. But dear devotees, we can all agree to this, that हम ऐसा भजन नहीं भी कर रहे, फिर भी हमें भक्ति में आनंद मिल रहा है. आप सोचिए, सिर्फ भक्ति का आभास होने से हमारा जीवन कितना अच्छा चल रहा है. अगर कुछ जीवन में दुख है भी, तो भी हमें उस दुख के we're not affected that much. We are still going through our lives with the mercy of Krishna, even though we are not doing bhakti with intensity. हम सिर्फ भक्ति के आभास में ही फिर भी हमें कितना आनंद है. आप सोचिए, जब हम असली में भक्ति करेंगे, जब हम असली में भगवान की अनन्य रूप से भक्ति करेंगे, then how much bliss, how much connection with Krishna, how much ananda we will have. Yes. So that is the Bhagavad-Gītā, directly coming from the lotus lips of Shri Bhagavan. Yes. So with that mood in mind, with that submission in mind, let us approach the first shloka of this Bhagavad-Gītā, which starts with a very nice question, actually. Everything starts with a question. Our Krishna consciousness probably started with a question. ये ISKCON वाले गंजे होके क्यों नाचते हैं? किसने तो ये सोचा होगा? Everything starts with a question. Srimad Bhagavatam starts with a question. The sages are asking Parikshit Maharaj a question. And then the whole Srimad Bhagavatam was given, all the leelas of Shri Bhagavan starts with a question. So here, it is not Bhagavan who is asking a question. It is who is asking a question? Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is asking a question in a very concerned way. So I am assuming we may all know some history of what the Mahabharata is, fighting between the two Kauravas and the Pandavas. So let's just assume we all know, because if we go into that will be in itself a series. So Dhritarashtra, now the armies are set on the battlefield. Dhritarashtra asks Sanjay. Dhritarashtra asks, let us read the verse and then we will discuss. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta mamakav pandavaschaiva kim akurvata Sanjaya. So I will recite twice each half. I want everyone in their own place to please recite, because these verses, when you recite them, they purify us. So please do recite. Dhritarashtra uvacha Dhritarashtra uvacha धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत संजय किमकुर्वत संजय Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage, Dharmakshetra, at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So Dhritarashtra is curious that now the armies have assembled. One side is Pandavas, one side is the Kauravas. What happened? And this is a very, very key statement. Even Dhritarashtra is asking with such, he's asking with such, what is that, curiosity, but look at the words he's using. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre. He knows for a fact that Kurukshetra which they have assembled on, wo Dharma kshetra hai. And he also knows for a fact that Dharma ke side mein kaun hai? Pandav hai. So now he's concerned. This is an expression of his concern. That उस धर्म क्षेत्र में जो जिसका नाम कुरुक्षेत्र है, वहां पर जो पांडव और कौरव साथ में खड़े हैं, वहां पे क्या हुआ? So purport by Abhayacharya Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad-Gītā is the widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya. Like we just discussed, glorification of the Gita. There it says that one should read Bhagavad-Gītā very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations. The example of clear understanding is there in the Bhagavad-Gītā itself, in the way the teachings is understood by Arjuna, who heard the Gita directly from the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to understand the Bhagavad-Gītā in that line of disciplic succession without motivated interpretation, then he surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all scriptures of the world. One will find in the Bhagavad-Gītā all that is contained in other scriptures, but the reader will also find things which are not to be found elsewhere. That is the specific standard of the Gita. It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The topics discussed by Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, as described in the Mahabharata, form the basic principle for this great philosophy. It is understood that this philosophy evolved on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place of pilgrimage from the immemorial time of Vedic age. It was spoken by the Lord when he was present personally on this planet for the guidance of mankind. Now we are coming to what we were just discussing. The word Dharma Kshetra, a place where religious rituals are formed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure that the fate of his sons on the battlefield. He wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven, Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjaya was a student of Vyasa, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyasa, Sanjaya was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield. Both the Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed herein. He deliberately claimed that only his sons as Kurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One can thus understand that the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the sons of Pandu. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out, so it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion, Shri Krishna, was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhan and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthira would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharma Kshetre and Kurukshetre, apart from the historical and Vedic importance. So here we can see such a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. First, he is explaining that we should read the Bhagavad-Gītā without any motivated interpretations. So we had a very good discussion about the glory of Bhagavad-Gītā, understanding it in a bona fide way, which is, we'll get to that verse in the 4th chapter as well, when Krishna himself is saying, Gyatva Tattva Darshinaha. Yes. Evam parampara praptam, evam rajashiyo viduhu. That this knowledge must be gained through parampara. And it was lost because the parampara was broken. That is why it was re-established to Arjuna. Srila Prabhupada is highlighting that how important it is to understand the Bhagavad-Gītā in the right understanding from the right person, the pure devotee of Krishna coming in the disciplic succession. For us, that is Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Janas. But yes, we must understand the Bhagavad-Gītā in that light. Now, coming to this verse, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Kurukshetra is a land of religion. Yes. And here, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya that now, see, Prabhupada also said that although they're all in one family, Dhritarashtra very purposely, he said that Kim Akuravata Sanjaya, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. Mamaka means my sons, and Pandavas Chaiva, and the sons of Pandu. He has made them two different entities, two different groups. In his mind, he has already done that. So he questions, and he knows that because it is Dharma Kshetra, because this land is going to be influencing the outcome of this battle, what happened on that battlefield. And like Srila Prabhupada also says that Krishna being personally present there, that was also a matter of concern. We know this famous story that when Krishna was resting in his palace, this is explained in the Mahabharata, that Arjuna and Duryodhan both came to ask him for help for the battle. And Duryodhan went and sat near the head of Krishna, that Krishna will wake up and then I will ask him for help. And Arjuna, when he came and sat near the lotus feet of Krishna while Krishna was resting. So when Krishna woke up, naturally when one wakes up, he does not look towards the head. Naturally when Krishna wakes up, he looked at his lotus feet first. So when he woke up, he saw Arjuna first. And because Krishna saw Arjuna first, Krishna asked that, okay, first you decide which help of mine do you want? He said to Arjuna. Duryodhana was very fierce. That how's that possible? I was sitting beside the head. I came first. How can Krishna ask Arjuna? And he was very tense that now Arjuna will get all the help and I will be very distressed. And we will lose the war. So Krishna asked Arjuna, do you want Narayani Sena or do you want Narayan? Do you want my troops? Do you want my army, Narayani Sena, or do you want me, Narayan, Bhagavan Krishna? And Arjuna, hearing this, Duryodhana was very concerned. He said, Krishna has already said he will not fight in the battle. Now Duryodhana is thinking that Arjuna will ask for the Sena, of course. Externally speaking, one person is not as good as having Narayani Sena, which is a vast, imagine the army of the Supreme Lord. We know the army of Canada, the army of the America, India. Now imagine the army of the Supreme Lord. So Duryodhana is very fierce, very tense. If Arjuna asks for the Narayani Sena, then it's almost like he feels that he will lose the war. But Arjuna, being the dear devotee of the Lord, what did he say? He said, no, I don't want the Narayani Sena. Arjuna said, I want Narayan. I want you, Krishna, on my side. I want you. So Krishna said that, Arjuna said that, and Duryodhana, hearing that, was very joyful. Okay, that worked out favorably for me. So Duryodhana, he said, okay, we will take the Narayani Sena, no worries. And he was very confident. But here in this verse we can see the concern of Dhritarashtra. He knows, Dhritarashtra somewhere he knows that where there is Bhagavan Shri Krishna, who is dharma personified, जो धर्म है, जो सब शास्त्र है, वेदिष्ट सर्वैर हमेव वेद्यो वेदांत कृत वेद विदेव चाहम, जिनसे सब वेद निकले हैं, सभी वेदों को पढ़ के जिनको प्राप्त करना है, वह धर्म स्वरूप भगवान श्री कृष्ण जिनके तरफ हैं, जिनके साइड में हैं, वही जीतेंगे. Dhritarashtra somewhere he knew that. That's why he was concerned. The very first shloka he's saying, the very first question he's asking is Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta Kimu kurvata Sanjaya? Oh Sanjaya, what happened? What did they do? It is very famously understood, and especially see, the Bhagavad-Gītā starts like this: Dharma kshetre kurukshetre, establishing that where there is dharma, there is victory. And the Bhagavad-Gītā ends like this as well. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shir Vijayor Bhutir, Dhruva Matirmama. The last verse of Bhagavad Gita says, in the in the opinion of Sanjaya, Sanjaya announces at the end of the Bhagavad Gita that what? Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. जहां पर भगवान श्री कृष्ण है और जहां पे यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धर है, जहां पे पार्थ अर्जुन जैसे भक्त हैं, in this we can understand जहां पे शुद्ध भक्त हैं, तत्र श्रीर विजयोर भूतिर, वहां पे लक्ष्मी है, वहां पे धन संपदा वहां पर है, तत्र श्रीर वेल्थ, विजयो विन, तत्र श्रीर विजयोर भूतिर ध्रुवा नीतिर मतिर्मम. That is Sanjay saying at the end, and this same concept is applied in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Dear devotees, where there is Krishna, then all auspicious things are there only. We've said this very famous thing, this famous verse from the Tulsi Ramayana, Shri Ramcharitmanas many times. Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari. Jahan pe Bhagavan Ram, Bhagavan Shri Krishna hai, where the Lord is. Externally, dear devotees, Sudama had nothing. Externally, dear devotees, Sudama was, he was suffering. Externally. Internally, Sudama is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is never dissatisfied of his position. Externally, he had nothing, but still, dear devotees, still he was satisfied. And actually, that is a whole different discussion why he went to Krishna. That was on the suggestion of his wife. And his mood to go to Krishna was to actually see his dear friend, his dear worshipable Lord. That was a different mood. He went to meet Krishna, not to get anything from him. He did not even ask Krishna for something when Sudama went. But dear devotees, history is proof that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is bhajan of Krishna, wherever there is devotees of Krishna, there is victory, there is ananda, there is bhakti. Many times we've discussed this, that people who are not devotees, people who are not practicing devotional service, they are happy in happiness and distressed in distress. It's clear cut. There's no rocket science about this. But the fixed up, sincere and serious devotees of Bhagavan Shyam Sundar Shri Krishna, they are happy in happiness and they're happy in distress. That sounds crazy, and it is crazy. That is crazy. And we can all achieve that platform because this Shastra and these questions and this is only the start of the Bhagavad-Gītā, and so much nectar is there in this. So much Siddhanta is there. That jahan par Bhagavan Krishna hai, jahan par dharma ki bhumi hai, वहां पर अधर्म कैसे हो सकता है? अगर कौरव जीत जाते, if the Kauravas would have won, that would have been directly like an insult to dharma, direct insult to the land of dharma, direct insult to Bhagavan himself. Then who will do bhakti? अगर भगवान हमारी तरफ हैं फिर भी हम हार रहे हैं, तो who will do bhakti? No, these shastras, these pastimes of the Lord establish that when Krishna is in one's life, there is victory. There is victory. When Krishna is in one's life, even there's this famous movie dialogue we may all know. हार कर भी जीतने वाले को बाजीगर बोलते हैं. So, dear devotees, this is not बाजीगर. हार कर भी जीतने वाले को भक्त बोलते हैं. भगवान का भक्त बोलते हैं. Even if devotees of Krishna, they lose something, that is the mercy of Bhagavan. Krishna, actually it is said in the Bhagavatam, that जो भगवान जब किसी पे अत्यंत कृपा करते हैं, उससे सब कुछ ले लेते हैं. He takes everything from him. Dear devotees, but what does he take? He takes those things which will take you away from Krishna. He will take away those things which are unfavorable for you. He will take away those things which will, in the long run, hurt you. We don't know. We don't know of our situation. We don't know of other situation. We don't know what our karma is. Bhagavan Shri Krishna, once we become devotees, once we try to become devotees, Krishna takes matters in his own hands. No longer the matters are in the hands of Yamaraj or Chitragupta. No. The matter is now in the hands of Bhagavan Shamsundar. He knows how to mold the life of that devotee, that things will happen in a way that at the end of life he will attain Krishna. He will attain the supreme enjoyment. Krishna will never cheat a devotee, never. Not possible. Krishna is in the heart, so many births, lifetimes, every time Krishna has been with us. Now, after we've come life after life, and now we've come to Krishna, Sakradeva Prapannosmi Tavasmi iti Yachayet. We've come to Bhagavan, and now once we've said Sakradeva, once we've said to Bhagavan that I am yours. Tavaivasmi, my Lord, I am yours. If we say this to Bhagavan, then what does Bhagavan say? Abhayam sarvadatubhyam. I give that person abhay. I give that person fearlessness. That person need not to be concerned with anything. Sarvasya chaham vedisham nivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedishya sarve rahame vedyo vedanta krit veda videv chaham. Bhagavan हमारे हृदय में है, सब जानते हैं. Krishna knows. And when we accept Krishna, when we say this to Krishna, he's in our heart, he can accept that feeling of surrender from within. And yatra yogeshwara Krishna tatra partho dhanurdhara tatra shir vijayo bhutir. When we accept Krishna as the Lord, when we take Krishna's side, when we accept, instead of Narayani Sena, when we accept Krishna, then real victory, real peace, real ananda, then it will come. And of course, we may have some period in our lives that may be a purificatory period, dear devotees. When we begin devotional service, we should not expect कि एकदम सब हो जाए. जब भगवान हमारे आते हैं जीवन में, तब first what happens when there's a dirty house, abandoned house. If there's an abandoned house, first you need to clean it, then you will decorate it. Yes? First it needs to be cleaned. When we accept this path of devotional service, when we accept Bhagavan into our lives, then first thing that happens is cleansing. And that may be uncomfortable. कभी कभी हमें ऐसा लग सकता है कि जब घर साफ कर रहे हैं, that abandoned house, when that abandoned house is being cleaned, it may seem that now there's more dust because that all that dust had been on the ground while it was very dirty. But to clean it, everything will come up, everything will be cleansed. We may go through so much, we may go through even some situations that you were not going through as a non-devotee. Now that you're becoming devotee, you will think ab aur dukh aa raha hai. But no, that is purification. What you had to suffer in so many lifetimes, Krishna will give in one lifetime. So you can purify, and then that ananda will come. It will come very naturally. It will come. But we need to be purified. How else will we be purified? It is like either you have to suffer lifetime after lifetime, or Krishna reduces that and you suffer now a little bit, and then you get that pure devotional service, pure engagement. But regardless, if we've accepted Krishna into our lives, that means in the long run, dear devotees, or even in everyday experience, you've accepted victory. That is the essence of this verse. Accepting Krishna, accepting dharma, accepting the path of dharma means victory. Although, dear devotees, the Pandavas, they suffered so much. Even as devotees of Krishna, suffered so much. But what is the lesson here? In the long run, they did not suffer. In the long run, in the battle of Kurukshetra, they did not win. They did not lose. It was the Kauravas that lost. So if the Pandavas went through so much, but they still achieved, the difference is at the end, what did they achieve? They achieved pure devotional service to Bhagavan Krishna, achieved Krishna Loka. Even in this world, they achieved. They performed the Ashwamedha Yajna, and Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled the world. So one must not ever question the Lord, although we may in our own conditioning that Bhagavan, hum aapki itni bhakti kar rahe, itna bhajan kar rahe hain, problems kyun aa rahi? It's a natural question. But this is a matter of purification. Krishna is doing everything that is favorable for us. हम नहीं जानते कि हमने क्या क्या किया है पिछले जन्म में. इसी जन्म में हमने क्या क्या किया है ये भी हम जानते हैं. अच्छे से अगर हमें मेमोरी फ्लैशबैक देते रहे भगवान कि हमने ये सब किया है इस जन्म में भी, तो भी हम सोचेंगे कि भगवान आप बहुत अच्छे से रखे हुए फिर भी. So what imagine, dear devotees, what we've done in so many lifetimes. So like that, we have a period of purification. This is a period of purification, even going through things as a devotee. Param Puja Srila Bhakti Damodar Maharaj was saying, if a devotee is chanting 16 rounds, following the four regulative principles, and engaging in some favorable devotional service for Krishna, anything that happens in his life is directly done by Krishna. So there's no need to worry. Whether it be happiness, whether it be distress, if one is fixed on the path of devotional service, depend on Krishna and you will go through that easily, very easily. Because where there's dharma, even Dhritarashtra has this understanding, dear devotees, कि जहाँ पे धर्म है वहाँ पे अधर्म नहीं जीत सकता. जहाँ पे भगवान कृष्ण है वहाँ पे श्री विजयो भूतिर संजय बोल रहे हैं. There will be wealth, there will be unlimited wealth, there will be unlimited victory for that person if that person accepts Krishna in one's life. Yes. And the significance of Dharma Kshetra also we should understand. There are many Dharma Kshetras. We have Kurukshetra, Vrindavan, Mayapur, Navadvip, Ayodhya, Pandharpur. In the south we have Rameshwaram, Srirangam, so many Dharma Kshetras. So there also, this is the effect of those places also, that in such places devotional service is more favorable. This also we can understand, that Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samavetayutsava. He's asking that in the land of Dharma, there cannot be any adharma. Yes. So when we are in Vrindavan or Kurukshetra, we should try to only do Dharma. Like that, we can also understand from this verse. But the main points Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purport is that Dhritarashtra understood that actually the what do you call, the conclusion of the Bhagavad-Gītā was already given in the first verse. Where there's Krishna, there will be victory. There will be victory. So if we want victory in our lives, if we want, real peace, real ananda in our lives, we have to accept Krishna in our lives. Not just accepting, everyone is doing bhakti, or just upar. So we give given this example. Bhakti should not be like coriander. Bhakti should be like salt. Bhakti is not a garnish on our lives. Bhakti is the essence. Bhakti karna karna mein honi chahiye. That is accepting Krishna. And once one has accepted Krishna, then there's, dear devotees, just accept Krishna, pull through, and you will see the results. You will see the results. And we already discussed that bhakti के आभास में ही इतना आनंद है, तो भक्ति में कितना होगा? हम जो अभी कर रहे हैं, I'll be very frank and very straightforward. 99.9% of us devotees, as we call ourselves, are not really doing bhakti. What is described in the Shastra? हम भक्ति का आभास कर रहे हैं. It is, we are trying to do bhakti. We are struggling to do bhakti. If we see what real bhakti is, we should see what Srila Prabhupada did and lived. If we should see what bhakti is, we should see the dedication of Sri Haridas Thakur, who used to chant 192 rounds and didn't take a morsel of grain until he finished. We should see, if we want to see bhakti, we should see the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who in the heat, rain, or cold, they would do Govardhan Parikrama, they would chant rounds, they would worship their deities all alone. They would write shastras that we have till date just for our benefit. That is real bhakti. That is really accepting Krishna in one's life. And when one does that, then there is Shri Vijaya Bhuti. Then that effect of dharma is there. And speaking of our situation, we are doing abhas. We are doing just a kind of a show of bhakti. But dear devotees, fake it till we make it. That is also one sutra. Not completely fake it. We don't want to become duplicitous, but this process will purify us if we continue by hook or by crook. We don't feel like chanting, still chant. Parampuj Radhanath Maharaj says, that is when Krishna is seeing that this person likes me or not. That is that point when you don't feel like chanting and you still chant, then at that point Krishna is pleased. At that point Krishna sees that he's still accepting me in my life, in his life. At that point. नहीं तो जब पूरा समय है, पूरी अच्छी हवाएं चल रही हैं और फूल खिल रहे हैं और चंदन की सुगंध आ रही है, तब कोई भजन करे तो क्या भजन है? जब साथ में वोल्केनो बर्स्ट हो रहा हो फिर भी भगवान की याद आए, फिर भी भजन करें. फिर जब मन ना करे, जब टीवी चल रहा हो और मन करे कि कुछ देख लें, फिर भी हम बंद करके और जप करें, just to please Krishna, just to fulfill our vow to, Srila Prabhupada has given 16 rounds, so we must chant 16 rounds. When one does this, then Krishna really recognizes that, okay, this person has some attachment for me. He's really trying for me. He's really trying for me. And that is the point. That is the point when Krishna says, okay, that is actually the checking point. That is the checking point. But like I said, normally when we are doing bhakti, that is okay. Actually, that is the, by doing that only we are getting the strength to say yes to our mind when we don't want to do bhakti. If we are not doing it, then we won't get that strength. But accepting Krishna in one's life is a very serious matter. And when one accepts Krishna, one accepts dharma. By accepting dharma, one accepts Krishna. Krishna is the personification, the father of religion is Bhagavan Krishna. By accepting him, by making oneself a dharma kshetra, then dharma alone will win. Then you alone will win because Krishna is on your side. And winning, this is not something external that you are having a fight with your boss and you will win that because Krishna is on your side. This is a matter of winning with our mind, winning with our desires, winning by all these fantasies that we have of sense gratification. Let us win from that and keep Krishna on our side. Yes, that is the goal of this human form of life. And the most easiest way that we can accept Krishna, the most easiest way that we can become like the Pandavas on the Dharma Kshetra of Kurukshetra, even though having, one's relatives on the other side, having the greatest, the greatest distress of one's life of killing one's own relatives who have done so much torture, even though we may be in such hefty, materially anxious situations. If Krishna is by our side, then there is no fear. There is no fear. Then there is only victory. There's only ananda. There's only peace, dear devotees, in the long run. And like I was coming back to the point, the easiest way to do that, in this age, in this time and age, is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Dear devotees, it is the easiest way. We've heard it so many times. It is the easiest, most effective, most powerful, most potent way to accept Krishna in your life. Bhagavan has already accepted you. You've been already accepted by Bhagavan lifetime after lifetime. But now we have to make an effort by our side. That is by chanting. That is by engaging in devotional service. And by engaging in devotional service, our first and foremost responsibility is to chant. Srila Prabhupada said, 99.9% of your devotional service, advancement in your devotional service, 99.9% depends on how you chant your rounds, depends on your japa. You chant and you hear, you chant and you hear. And dear devotees, if we carefully, without doing the 10 offenses, by avoiding the 10 offenses to the holy name, in a humble mood, if we just take shelter of the holy name, pray to the holy name before we chant, without doing the 10 offenses, if you chant regularly and sincerely, your heart will be cleansed, your desires will be fulfilled, and you will attain Bhagavan Krishna at the end of this life. ये गांठ बांध के रख लीजिए इस बात को. This is truth. This is how we accept Krishna in our lives. The Pandavas accepted Krishna according to their situation. They were actually pure devotees originally to start with. We are not pure devotees to start with. We have to become pure devotees. And we can become pure devotees by following in the footsteps of pure devotees. And the Acharyas and the Shastra itself has instructed us that in this day and age, Harir Namaiva Kevalam. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam Harir Namaiva Kevalam. शास्त्र तीन बार बोले हैं. This is the Madhuram Madhurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam. This Ashtakam is there. In that it is said Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam Harir Namaiva Kevalam. That ये सत्य है, पुनः सत्य है ये कि हरिर नामैव केवलम. केवल हरि नाम ही है जो इस कलिमल ग्रसित जीव को उद्धार कर सकता है. केवल हरि नाम. We should really understand this, and personally I feel I should personally understand this. We are not giving so much attention to the holy name as we should, and we are giving attention to many other things. But dear devotees, if we really kuch mat kijiye, कुछ मत कीजिए, सही में कुछ मत कीजिए, सिर्फ नाम जप कीजिए, अच्छे से नाम जप कीजिए, and Krishna will arrange everything. Krishna will arrange everything. You will feel that Krishna is arranging everything. It will come. Krishna will not only fulfill our desires, he will purify our desires. He'll purify our desires, purify our heart. The jiva cannot attain Bhagavan or fully accept Bhagavan into one's life until one has completely purified oneself of desires. Now, if you still have desires in your heart and they're unfulfilled, then you will have to take another birth to fulfill those desires. So, yena kena prakarena Bhagavan Shri Krishna, being the all-merciful Lord, he purifies us of those desires. That can be through fulfilling those desires, or that can be either through making us realize that really we don't need those things. Two things will happen. Yes. And it'll be very, and dear devotees, we should also understand, I am saying this fulfill desires and everything just because we're talking about the holy name, but when Krishna blesses a devotee, Krishna gives imperishable gifts. Yes, remember this. Krishna gives imperishable gifts. जब भगवान आशीर्वाद देते हैं तो वो ऐसी चीज देते हैं कि वो कभी खत्म ना हो, कि वो अनंत है. And imperishable means that you will not desire that again also. You will be completely satisfied. When we take shelter of other demigods or other processes or other ways to fulfill our desires, वो पूर्ण होगी, फिर आपको फिर से इच्छा होगी कि फिर से पूर्ण हो, फिर इच्छा होगी फिर से पूर्ण हो. You will have many desires still. But when Bhagavan Shri Krishna, if you faithfully take shelter of Bhagavan Shri Krishna from his holy name, accepting him on your side as the Pandavas did, then Krishna gives us imperishable gifts, which is Shri, Vijaya, Bhutir. You will have victory, you will have Lakshmi, wealth, and you will have Bhutir. I forgot the exact translation of Bhutir. But yes, Krishna gives us imperishable gifts. So we have to take shelter of that Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Param Bhagavan Shri Krishna, like the Pandavas did, like Arjuna did, rejecting that Narayani Sena. Although externally speaking, materially speaking, it was very favorable for him to accept that Narayani Sena, Arjuna rejected it and accepted Krishna. Let us reject everything in our lives and accept Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Anything that takes us away from Krishna, anything that अनुकूलस्य संकल्पम प्रतिकूलस्य वर्जनम, जो भी हमारे जीवन में भक्ति के प्रतिकूल है, भगवान के प्रतिकूल है, भगवान के आदेशों के प्रतिकूल है, let us not accept that. Then Krishna will see our sincerity, and then we will win in the battlefield of our life. Yes, the battlefield, we are maybe the Pandavas were a little more fortunate than us that they had a battlefield, physical battlefield. We all have our individual battlefields going on inside. And there, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is there as Paramatma to guide us. He's there as Chaitya Guru. If we chant nicely, dear devotees, after a certain amount of time, if you are really chanting nicely without offenses, the Chaitya Guru, the Paramatma is known as Chaitya Guru. He will guide you 100%. Karke to dekhi. We have to accept Krishna on our side. We have to accept Dharma on our side. And this even Dhritarashtra understood. So us being followers and devotees of Srila Prabhupada, followers of Srila Prabhupada, at least we can understand this much, that accepting Krishna on our side, accepting Dharma on our side means victory. Means victory. Yes. So that is the essence of this verse. Of course, different acharyas have explained many other things. I've tried to make it a little more relevant to our lives and how we can apply this and make it fruitful to our lives, this verse. And just speaking of actually just directly the translation of this verse, simply Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya कि क्या हुआ, कि युद्ध भूमि में क्या हुआ, जब पांडव और कौरव, the Pandavas and Kauravas have aligned up, now what happened. So that is just the meaning, straightforward, but we discussed through this session that Dharma Kshetra, that has its own significance. Being on the Dharma Kshetra has its own significance. So that tells us that being in an auspicious holy land like Kurukshetra, Vrindavan, Mayapur, that has its own potency, its own power. That's one concept. And also having Dharma on one side, the father of religion, Bhagavan Shri Krishna on one side, through, of course, for us, the practice of devotional service, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that also means victory. That also means fulfillment of the goal of life. Yes. So we thank you very much for joining today's session, and we hope that we could give some justice to this verse, although it is the Bhagavad-Gītā is unlimited. The Acharyas have given already so many commentaries, and Srila Prabhupada also. And we've only tried our humble best to do some justice. But yes, in the service of all the devotees, we humbly ask all of you to shower your blessings, your prayers, so we can continue with these sessions. And together, we can understand the teachings of the Bhagavad-Gītā, the invitation, actually. They're not just teachings, dear devotees. Every verse of the Bhagavad-Gītā is an invitation of Bhagavan Shri Krishna for us to become closer to him. That is the Bhagavad-Gītā. ऐसे पढ़ना चाहिए, इस भाव से पढ़ना चाहिए कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण बोल रहे हैं, हमारे लिए बोल रहे हैं. इतना आश्रय मिलता है. So much, you get such shelter when you really take to heart these verses of the Bhagavad-Gītā. And we are yet to get to the real, very fruitful, very sweet verses that are yet to come. But each verse of Bhagavad-Gītā itself is a valuable gem. And yes, we expect all your presence, and we hope you can join us every Tuesday. And of course, we ask for forgiveness for any mistakes, जो भी भाव से या फिर जो भी शब्दों के प्रयोग से ऊपर नीचे हुआ हो कुछ, तो उसके लिए क्षमा करें. And anything that may have inspired you in these classes, in the future, or in any classes we do, that is, of course, not our glory. That is the glory of Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas who have mercifully given us these Shastras, who have mercifully given us such things to talk about, such a Sangha, such a group of devotees to, relish these things. Otherwise, who on a Tuesday evening is going to sit and discuss from Bhagavad-Gītā? This is the avadan, this is the gift of the Acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada. So we thank you for joining, and if you have any questions, we can answer. Yes, you may also join our WhatsApp group to find out about initiative and events, and the link has been given there. If anyone has any questions, we can take some. Okay, I guess not. So thank you very much. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.